Hey guys, welcome back to another great game of cEDH. Today we're bringing you a cool game I played a few weeks ago with some of our Discord members and Mons from the cEDH TV YouTube channel. It was a great game, but I also wanted to announce that I've started a Patreon to help grow the channel. And if you have enjoyed the content here, have a look at it and consider donating, as it'll help the channel continue to grow and create the content you enjoy. Also, if you're interested in playing with us, hop on our Discord. We have an ever-growing community and we'll love to talk MTG or whatever strikes our fantasy. And another benefit is we often let people know when we play and would love to meet some new people. Alright, block there, kill that. Oh, that is trample. Guess I'm just dead on board. Starting us off is Marcus, playing Xur. And while Xur has a few different build paths, this is Doomsday Xur. This is a mid-range combo list that uses a few stax pieces to slow his opponents down, while using Xur to tutor out key enchantments and ultimately win with a Doomsday pile. Next is Hidden Planet, playing Winota. This list seeks to be an explosive stax combo deck that wants to play non-human creatures early and then play its commander, using Winota's ability to cheat creatures into play at an alarming rate and overwhelm the board. The explosive nature of this deck, in combination with its tightly layered combos, allow for the first real opportunity for Boros to play at the competitive tables. In the third spot, we have Davo and the Locust God. This is a wheel and deal list that uses the Locust God's ability to generate hasty insects whenever you draw for some massive advantage. This is actually a budget deck, and while the list is more affordable, it is by no means less powerful. Bringing up the rear, we have Mons on Sisay, Weatherlight Captain. This is a proactive deck that utilizes Sisay's unique activated ability to tutor essential pieces for winning the game, because who cares if you can just find the answer to anything. And without further ado, let's get onto the gameplay. Marcus starts off the game with a Polluted Delta. He doesn't crack it and just ends his turn with a Spellbook. Hidden has a Plains and uses it for a Soul Ring. Not done yet, though, he then casts a Thorn of Amethyst. Devo has a Cephalid Colosseum, and then has to pay 1 for a Mana Crypt. Mons is pretty happy as he plays a Taiga into a turn 1 Monkey, with Marcus cracking his fetch at his end step for a tap Godless Shrine. Damn, it still doesn't stop that monkey.
Nope. There's nothing stopping the monkey.
Marcus doesn't have much, as he just plays a Fetid Heath as land and passes. Hidden draws, but unfortunately is missing a red source, as he has an Inkmoth Nexus. He then spends 3 for an Eidolon of Rhetoric. Devo starts by losing a Script Trigger. He has a tapped Temple of Epiphany and bottoms the Scry. He then takes 1 off his Colosseum and brainstorms. He does pay the extra for the Thorn, but hands the turn over after that. Mons has a Scrubland and then heads to combat. He knows Marcus has Necropotence and sends the monkey that way. There are no blocks, and Marcus exiles a Talisman of Hierarchy, while Mons gets a treasure. And on his second main, Mons casts a Kataki, War's Wage, to the disappointment of Hidden. Marcus untaps and pays for his spellbook. He has a Hall of Helia's Generosity, and he's still playing Draw Go as he hands the turn over. Luckily for Hidden, the Sol Ring can pay for both his artifacts. Not so lucky, he hasn't found another land. And while he doesn't like this, he does have to cast a Gold Mirror, hoping that someone will end up removing the Kataki. Davo pays for his crypt.
Should I keep that crypt? Odds. Nice. And then I will draw for turn.
The crypt said, "Keep me.
For real.
I will be a good crypt from now."
He plays and cracks an Arid Mesa for an untapped Steam Vents, and taps out for a Fabricate. He ends up searching out a Soul Ring. Mons pays for his treasure and plays a Scalding Tarn as land. He goes to combat and sends the monkey back at Marcus, who can't block.
Oh, I run a Doomsday ad nos, don't you? All right, I will exile.
Yeah,
Take 1. And there is my ad nos.
yeah, I'm not casting that. It can stay gone there and get a treasure.
That was a pretty good hit.
Yeah,
Very nice.
it's a good monkey.
All right, we got Doomsday still.
That's gonna be the next hit.
Yeah.
On his second main, Mons sacrifices his Tarn for a Tropical Islet and casts Sisay. Marcus this time does not pay for his spellbook. He has an underground river and pays 4 for a windfall. There are no responses and everyone draws 6 new cards. Hidden pays for his artifacts and plays a mountain. He only has 1 spell a turn and casts a Giver of Runes. Davo pays for his crypt and this time loses the flip. A Riverglide pathway comes out as land and he's done after that. Mons once again pays for his treasure. Combat is then held as Mons sends his board sideways at Marcus for 8, who still does not have any blockers. He exiles a Silence from the Ragavan, and on his second main, Mons plays an Underground Sea's land and casts a Mox Diamond, discarding a Watery Grave. Marcus draws and plays a Reliquary Tower as land, ending his turn with a Hushbringer. Hidden untaps and pays for his artifacts. Luckily, his new hand has lands, as he plays a Command Tower, and now has enough to cast Winota. Winota resolves, and Hidden then sends Eidolon and Giver of Runes at Davo. He gets 2 Winota triggers, and off the first reveals a Rionia, Fire Dancer. That heads at Marcus, with the other Winota trigger revealing a Loyal Apprentice, with this one heading at Mons. Davo pays for his crypt and wins the flip. He has a Sulphur Falls as land and taps 6 for a Locust God. At his end step, Mons activates Sisay to search out a Marlin of the Morn Song. Mons then goes through his turn and uses his treasure to pay the upkeep cost for his Mox Diamond. He then loses 3 to tutor out a card. After he finds what he's looking for, he has a Bloodstained Mire as land and casts the Demonic Tutor, although he should have tapped in extra mana due to the Thorn. Mons did think about combat, but seeing blockers from everyone, decides on just passing. Marcus untaps, and with Marlin's trigger on the stack, casts an Opposition Agent. Unfortunately, the agent resolves, and Marcus sends his list to Mons, and reveals his hand.
Wait, you mean, why don't you cast Drown in the Lock before this happens?
That would be too smart.
Okay, yeah, but you... well, okay, so you have that. I would like to grab
Mons ultimately grabs a Force of Will from Marcus, and on his main, Marcus plays an Ancient Tomb as land and casts his Commander. Unfortunately, I don't think the table realized that Mons had already cast his 1 spell for turn, and even though he tutored out the Force, he couldn't have actually used it this turn, allowing Marcus to drown it or Anguish on making it without repercussion. Hidden unfortunately does not have an answer to the combo and reveals his hand, while Mons searches through his list. He does decide on a Deflecting Swat, but unfortunately while this happened, Hidden accidentally reloaded his Mox Field and has to rebuild his board. Hidden pays for his artifacts. He then casts an Alseid for his spell for turn and heads to combat. He has a Rionia trigger and Loyal Apprentice trigger, and gets a copy of the Alseid and a Thopter. Sorry if things get a little messy here, but he sends the Thopter at Mons, the Eidolon goes at Marcus, with his Alseid token and Mirror going at Davo. Hidden gets 4 Winota triggers, revealing an Esper Sentinel, Magus of the Moon, Blade Historian, and he whiffs on the 4th one, but they all end up going at Mons as well. Blocks are had, with Mons blocking the Magus and Esper Sentinel, taking 6, with Marcus and Davo both taking their lumps. Davo loses his Crypt trigger and can't stop the Marlin.
Do you have a Gilded Drake in that deck?
No, I'm not rich.
Okay.
Mons settles on a Cyclonic Rift. Unfortunately for Davo, Marlin really shuts down his deck, as he then moves to combat and sends the Locust God back at Mons, who takes the hit. Also, Davo forgot about the Kataki and decides to let the Mana Crypt die. Mons loses 3 to search.
Winning is a little bit annoying.
Winning through stacks can be a pain.
He settles on a card, but does forget about his Kataki. He then plays a Scrub Mountain and sends Ragavan at Davo, who can't block. He exiles a Gamble off Dave's library and gains another treasure. On his second main, he uses his treasure on a Faber Elder, passing after that. Marcus untaps and this time responds to the Marlin trigger.
So yeah, we'll just attempt to taking a damage. Drowned in the Lock.
It costs 1 more.
Oh, yep. Sorry. I will follow Pelead's Generosity. I'll use that one.
Actually, your land taps from red mana right now. There's a
Oh yeah, so
Yeah.
I can't even cast anything.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So what would you like, Mons? I have I can offer you a Winds of Abandonment. Or Winds of
Do you have
Abandon.
anything that removes Winota?
Yeah. Winds of Abandon is a overload exile effect for all the creatures you don't control.
Yeah, let's go that one. I want that one.
All right.
No, I don't want that one. No.
I mean,
Oh,
to be
wait,
fair,
well,
like,
do
we're
you
pretty
have-
screwed. Luckily, that's a
Yeah.
sorcery, so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorcery
we can
costs
do
6 mana.
Oh god, can you kill him on your turn?
Ah,
Otherwise, Mons, I don't really know what else I can help you with.
Winds of
Pass.
Abandon is probably the correct ploy.
That's your search. I lose 3 life.
Yep.
I will move to attack. You have any flyers, Mons?
Nope. You can hit me for 1.
Zer, I'm gonna go grab something.
No,
No,
no, no,
I
no,
have
no,
skill
no,
level.
Oh, I can't. Yes, I can. Oppo agent.
Yeah.
Is it a May though?
It's amazing.
Yes, you may search. All right, and that's gonna be it. I just proved a point, I guess. One Zer damage.
Yeah.
Alright.
You're not untouchable, Mons.
Alright.
No, you might be able to get there.
Hidden untaps, and Mons takes an Abrade from Hidden, who doesn't have much else to do and hits the combat. He gets a token copy of the Giver runes and a Thopter. Also, at this point, remember to pay for the Kataki, with Hidden paying for everything but the Esper Sentinel. The Thopter then heads at Mons, with the Mir, Eidolon, and Giver token heading at Davo. This gives him 6 Winota triggers, and he ends up revealing Athalia's Lancer, Grand Abolisher, Rick Steadfast Leader, Mog Catcher, Glow Rider, and Whiffs on the last. And oh boy, is that a lot of damage. This does force Mons to chump the 4 biggest creatures Hidden has, and take 12. Also, Hidden realizes he should have been more aggressive, and swung with his other humans as well. And even if he didn't send them at Mons, he should have sent them to either Davo or Marcus to take them out and remove the Cyclonic Rift and Winds of Abandon that Mons had stolen from them. Hidden then ends his turn casting a Rogak and tries to clean up his board. Davo untaps and draws for turn, gaining an insect. He did want to use his Cephalid Coliseum for some powerful draw, but with the Magus still out, has to stop that plan. He instead pays 4 mana for his Swiftfoot Boots, and another to equip the god. Davo then heads to combat, and seeing Mons' board mostly clear, sends 5 at Hidden, but is done after that. Mons untaps and goes straight for an overloaded Winds of Abandon, which resolves and exiles everyone's board. Marcus doesn't have any other basics, and Hidden actually only gets 3 tap planes. The monkey then heads at Hidden, who exiles a Chromox, and Mons ends his turn getting his treasure. Marcus starts off with his Sensei's Divining Top, but with the top costing 2 mana, doesn't actually have enough to recast Zerk, and ends his turn there. Hidden draws, but doesn't have much left. He casts a Dockside for 4 treasures, and then taps 6 lands to recast Winota. The commander resolves, with Hidden then cracking a treasure to animate his Nexus, and send it at Mons. He gets a Winota trigger, which reveals a Recruiter of the Guard, also attacking Mons. We did forget the Inkmoth has infect, but we fixed that later. Hidden then tutors out a Kiki Jiki, and ends his turn cracking another treasure for a Mother of Runes. Davo has a mount in his land, and cracks his Wooded Foothills for another mountain, with Mons taking this opportunity to crack his fetch for a mountain as well. Davo once again casts the Locust God, who does resolve, although Mons was pretty hesitant about it. Davo does try to preordain, but lacks the mana due to the Thorn, and instead equips this god. But with his low life total, he decides to not swing. And at his end step, Mons casts Hidden's Stolen Abrade to take out the Mother of Runes. Mons untaps and is a Gilded Drake. Hidden groans, but can't stop from losing his commander to the Drake. Mons then heads to combat and sends his Monkey and Elder at Marcus, which gets him 2 Winota triggers. But Marcus does have a response, as he taps his Ancient Tomb to try and anguish on making the Monkey. But Mons just casts Hidden's Stolen Deflecting Swat, and swerves it to exile the Swiftfoot Boots. Mons then whiffs off the first Winota trigger, but finds Athalia off the second, who also goes at Marcus, who now drops to 8. Mons gets a treasure and exiles a Dovin's Veto from Marcus. On his second main, he taps 2 for a Kinnan. It resolves, and he follows it up by sacrificing his treasure and taps his Elder to help cast Devo's Stolen Sycraft to bounce the Gilded Drake, which is promptly recast to swap for Devo's Locust God. Now with 2 other commanders under his control, Mons passes, with Marcus topping at his end step. Marcus untaps and uses his haul to put the propaganda back on top to draw it for turn. Although Hidden does point out he doesn't actually have the mana now that there's both a Thalia and a Thorn out. Marcus admits the top of his lyre isn't saving him either, and passes after that. Hidden draws and casts the Kiki Jiki. He taps the Kiki for another recruiter, but unfortunately with his deck basically gutted from the Winds of Abandon, he doesn't see much. Unfortunately, if he had his other recruiter, he could have potentially won by getting Village Bellringer, but Mons does remind him he has the Stolen Force of Will, and Hidden settles on a Goblin Rabblemaster, which he casts. He then animates his Inkmoth and moves to combat. He thinks Mons will just untap and win, so he decides to send everything that way. Mons then blocks everything but the token recruiter and Inkmoth, and this is where we realize that the Inkmoth has Infect, and Hidden is done after that. Devo is trusting in the heart of the cards and taps 5 for a Frantic Search. He draws and discards 2, untapping 3 lands.
For fucking taxes, man.
He then taps 4 for a Sorcerer's Class to draw and discard an additional 2, and plays an island as land. He then sacrifices his Cephalid to keep digging, but the heart of the cards is not with him today, as he passes after that. Mons untaps and has the win. He plays a Tundra and casts Sisay. Davo does respond with a Pact Negation, and Mons fires back with a Deflecting Swat. Sisay resolves, and Mons heads the combat. He sends his Locust God and Winota at Dave, and then sends the rest at Marcus. This will then take both of them out, but before damage, he then taps his Elder for a Sisay activation to find Derevi, who will untap the Elder and let Mons activate Sisay again to find an Agila, and activate Nagila for infinite combats and untaps, taking the entire table out and winning Mons the game. Game review. Well, damn, I thought Mons had the game on lock when he was able to get Marlin and Opposition Agent out. But I do admit I should have been more aggressive in playing Winota, as even before Rick came out, I did have the double strike on my humans. And as I pointed out, I could have gone to kill for Devo or Marcus if I had sent humans their way. Also, I do realize that it was Marcus's mistake to not remove the Oppo agent the first turn it came out. But mistakes happen, as we all have let something resolve that we shouldn't have, and the game goes on. But I do want to thank the players and give a shout out to Mons and the cEDH TV's YouTube channel, which I'll have linked below. Hey guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I just wanted to let you know that we have a TCG affiliate link, and if you ever see a card you want to try or are inspired to brew something new, use our link when purchasing and we'll receive a small portion of the sale. This is a great way to support the channel, and if you enjoyed the gameplay, please leave a like and subscribe, as it really helps us keep making videos. And remember, never give up, even if you're dead on board. I'll see you guys later.